That's probably a good point.
So the framers were correct. Jefferson was correct. We should be able to change the Constitution.
There is a better way to do that, and that's through Congress. This was meant to be a last resort, and if you know, the structure of our Constitution needs changed, and we try, then it might be appropriate, but we have to take into a lot of considerations.
Representative Coley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, to the witness. So is it a structural flaw when the people, if 535 citizens in Washington can basically dictate the drinking age in the state of Ohio by virtue of cutting off highway funds, can dictate through the Commerce Clause almost anything they want to dictate by total cutting off of funds? Is that a structural flaw that would warrant a change? And then you would rely on those same 535 people to facilitate that change and give up that power that they have over the various states. Is that, am I hearing you correctly?
I don't think what you talk about with the Commerce Clause is a structural flaw. I think that is a flaw of our constituents not holding their representatives accountable, of the Supreme Court in error determining that that clause can be stretched and can be meant to mean anything you want it to mean. That's the genesis of our problem, is that we aren't following the Constitution as it's meant to be followed. We are looking into it and saying, how can we stretch this? How can we make more powers than was ever meant to be given to Congress?
Mr. Chairman. So and basically, as Chairman has illustrated to me, the 10th Amendment is gone. But my concern then, and I don't think you quite answered my question, to the extent that when those 535 people threw those clauses, and it's been ratified by the Supreme Court that that's constitutional under the framework, to you, that doesn't warrant any changes. We just have to wait for divine intervention to change the hearts of the 500 or the majority of the 535 people in Washington change that? Or do we as legislators who are given a constitutional duty by the voters of our districts, do we enact and do we act as we are required and allowed to do under the Constitution?
It's not necessarily the legislature that has to make a decision as to where we go in a circumstance like that. It's the electorate. If the electorate keeps putting people into Congress that are going to abuse the Constitution and not follow it, then no amount of changing the Constitution is going to prevent that or protect against that. It's the people that must hold their elected representatives accountable to the rule of law.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? Hearing none, thank you. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just looking through my Constitution, the Constitution was actually signed by several people, but you know, the two from Virginia were John Blair and James Madison, and there were 8 from Pennsylvania. Only Alexander Hamilton signed from New York. My question is, how many delegates are the other states going to get? And is it going to be, you know, California rewriting the Constitutional Convention? Is it going to be us? Delaware had 6 delegates, as compared with New York, it was much larger, of course, and Virginia, it was much larger. Is there any sort of broad sort of stroke that says you get a certain percentage based on your population, or based on how many representatives you have in Congress, or is it basically, you know, whoever you want to go for however many people? Do you see anything in the resolution that would speak to that concern?
Well, that's the problem with Article 5. There is no mechanism that determines who, how, or anything with regard to the delegates, and you know, that's an area of law that's just completely wide open. And I would submit that it certainly doesn't give the legislatures authority, and because Congress is calling it, I think logically it falls in their hands, and I don't think there's any legal precedent that would challenge that.
And finally, in your opinion, would a balanced budget amendment allow for surpluses that would allow for the paying down of the debt?
I suppose that depends on how it's written. But I don't think logically a balanced budget amendment would have any effect whatsoever on Congress that isn't following the Constitution in the first place.
Thank you for your testimony, and sort of a follow-up to Representative Dyer's discussion with you about the authority that state legislators in selecting and the scope of the convention. You stated in your testimony that there's a consensus among jurists and constitutional scholars that once it's called, really the state legislators have no authority in those areas.
Right.
My question to you is this. What is your source of authority for that, or is that an opinion you have formed based on your readings?
Chief Justice Berger, Associate Justice Goldberg, several statements that they have made, and if you watch that video, that 4-part video, all of this is covered in there. It will absolutely answer every single question that you have, every single concern that you have is addressed in that video. And numerous statements from many different jurists, law school professors, in addition to Supreme Court and Associate Supreme Court justices, etc.
Thank you.
Other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Next witness we have is John Tomaso.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the committee, I thank you for this opportunity. So much said here, I'm not sure where to start, but forgive me if I'm somewhat repetitious of what we've already heard, but I do want to share this issue with you as I understand it and even my experience. I am of the our founding fathers were wise and very far-sighted people, but I'm of the opinion that they did leave a flaw in Article 5, leaving it dangerously vague. And if there is an Achilles heel to this wonderful experiment in self-government of a free people, limited self-government of a free people, that's the Achilles heel of our Constitution. And this is not the same day of our founding fathers, but I want to take this beyond the symptomatic level that we've been discussing here and take it to a higher level of leadership in our country and even historically add some background to this. You've heard discussion today concerning the Council on Foreign Relations. And I want to submit to you the Council on Foreign Relations was founded in 1921 by the very same people who brought us the Federal Reserve, brought us many negative changes to our country, violations of our Constitution, wanton and runaway socialism, unconstitutional government in our country. These things have been instituted by the Council on Foreign Relations, founded in 1921 for the purpose of promoting and facilitating world government in the United States, for undermining our Constitution and melding us with the rest of the world. And their brainchild, their creation is the United Nations, which they would ultimately bring us into. Now, they mean for the United States of America to be their last and best prize in the scheme for world government. And I'm thankful to my God in heaven for the United States Constitution that has been their stumbling block to their great frustration all these many years. Our Constitution, all of you took an oath, as I did as a soldier, to support and protect and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And if Article 5 is just an option, another constitutional option, by which We can be faithful to our oath unless we